The big alien ship hung over the Earth station like a dark cloud. Inside the main meeting room, Minna Park stood alone. She looked small in the huge room, made for beings twice her size. The aliens walked in with heavy steps that shook the floor. They were called the Talak. Their blue-gray bodies had hard shells on the outside instead of bones on the inside like humans. They were very tall and strong. The leader, Commander Krath, puffed up the breathing bags on his neck. Minna knew this meant he was laughing at her. This is what Earth sends. A tiny, soft creature. His voice was very loud in the room. Your bones are inside your body. Your skin breaks easily. How do humans even stay alive? Minna stood up straight. She had trained for 6 years as a diplomat, but nothing prepared her for aliens who look down on humans because of their bodies. Commander Krath, Earth is happy to make friends with the Talak Empire, she said. Our different bodies are exactly why we should learn from each other. The commander walked around her, looking at her with his 4 eyes that blinked one after another. Your arms and legs are so thin. Your chest has no protection. Even the air you breathe is a problem. A small change in the air would kill you. But here I am, Minna said calmly, ready to speak for humans, even with our so-called weak bodies. The Talak looked at each other. The thin skin on their necks moved in ways that seemed to be a private talk that Minna's translation device couldn't understand. Fine, Commander Krath said after a while. You will come with us to our home planet, Talak Prime. If you live through the trip, maybe we will think about being friends with Earth. After the aliens left, Minna's helper Jiho came into the room. His face showed he was worried. Did you hear? They want you to go to their planet. The gravity there is much stronger than Earth's. The air pressure is also very different. Minna looked at the Talak ship through the window. They think our bodies are weak, Jiho. We need to show them that human strength is not just about muscles and hard shells. How will you show them that? Jiho asked. Minna smiled. By staying alive through whatever hard tests they give me, and by helping them when they least expect it. The Talak vessel's interior was a maze of oversized corridors and chambers with high ceilings. Everything was constructed from materials that appeared to be a cross between metal and living tissue. Minna's quarters were clearly an afterthought, a storage compartment hastily converted for her use. The environmental controls have been adjusted to your pitiful needs, explained Talak Science Officer Vren, who seemed marginally less contemptuous than her companions. Though I cannot understand how your species functions with such low oxygen density. Thank you for the accommodation, Minna replied, setting down her specialized equipment case. The gravity adjustment was already making her movements labored. Over the next 3 days, Minna established a routine. Each morning she performed exercises specifically designed for high-gravity environments. The Talak crew would often gather to watch, clicking their mandibles in what she assumed was amusement. The soft one strains to move, one guard remarked to another, like a larva before molting. On the 4th day, as Minna was reviewing linguistic data, emergency sirens blared throughout the ship. The vessel lurched violently, sending her crashing against the wall. All crew to emergency stations, came the announcement. Unexpected radiation surge from the nearby pulsar. Shield failure imminent. Minna grabbed her equipment case and made her way to the bridge, fighting against both the increased gravity and the ship's unstable movements. The bridge was chaos. Commander Krath was shouting orders as crew members frantically worked at their stations. Through the main viewport, Minna could see the blinding light of a pulsar, its deadly radiation already causing the shields to flicker visibly. Commander, she called out. I might be able to help. Krath barely glanced at her. What could you possibly do, human? Your technology is primitive compared to ours. Sometimes primitive has advantages, Minna replied, opening her case to reveal specialized equipment. Our fragile bodies meant we had to develop different solutions to radiation problems. This is an experimental magnetic field modulator designed specifically for solar flares. It might help reinforce your shields. Vren stepped forward, intrigued. Our shields operate on quantum fluctuation principles. Your device is incompatible. Not directly, Minna agreed. But if we can synchronize the modulation frequencies. Another violent lurch interrupted her explanation as a section of the shift shields failed completely. We have no time for human theories, Krath growled. Prepare for emergency protocols. Minna looked at Vren. Give me 5 minutes with your shield controls. If I'm wrong, what have you lost? The science officer hesitated, then nodded. 5 minutes. No more. Minna's fingers flew over the alien control interface as Vren translated the readings. The ship shuddered continuously as more shield sections began failing. Your system uses quantum entanglement to distribute shield energy, Minna observed. But the radiation is disrupting the entanglement pattern. Yes, Vren confirmed. We cannot maintain coherence against this level of interference. Minna connected her device to the shield control node. Earth ships use a fail-safe system that creates multiple redundant fields, less efficient but more stable under disruption. If I can integrate this modulator, 3 minutes until complete shield failure, announced a Talok officer. Sweat beaded on Minna's forehead as she worked, the ship's artificial gravity now fluctuating wildly with the power surges. A particularly violent shake sent several crew members to the floor, but Minna braced herself against the console and continued. Your biology makes no sense, Vren said, watching her work. Your hand should be too weak for this precision. Flexibility has advantages, Minna replied without looking up. Sometimes being soft means you can reach places the rigid cannot. 2 minutes to shield failure. Minna made the final connections and activated her device. For a terrifying moment, nothing happened. Then, gradually, the shield indicator stabilized. It's working, Vren announced, mandibles clicking in surprise. The human device is creating a secondary field matrix that's stabilizing our primary shields. On the main viewport, the deadly pulsar radiation continued to batter the ship, but the shields now held steady, their color changing from unstable red to a solid blue. Commander Krath approached, his massive form looming over Minna. You have surprised me, Ambassador. Perhaps there is value in your species' approach after all. Minna nodded, allowing herself a small smile. Different problems require different solutions, Commander. And sometimes, the most unexpected biology creates the most innovative minds. The danger passed, but something had changed in the Talok's attitude. They still towered over her, their bodies still made hers look frail by comparison, but there was a new curiosity in their four-eyed gazes. As Minna returned to her quarters, Doyum contacted her via secure channel. I heard about the shield crisis, he said. You've made an impression, but we're receiving concerning reports about Talok Prime. There's political instability you weren't briefed on. The ruling council is divided on the alliance. Minna looked out her small viewport at the stars streaking by. Every diplomatic mission has its complications, Doyun. These aren't just complications, Minna. According to our intelligence, there's a faction that wants to study humans rather than ally with them, and not in a friendly scientific way. Then I'll just have to be even more impressive, Minna replied, though a knot of worry formed in her stomach. We're 3 days from Talok Prime. Keep me updated on any new developments. Will do. And Minna, be careful. Being underestimated can be an advantage, but it can also make you a target. Talok Prime's atmosphere was thick with swirling amber clouds. As the ship descended, massive structures came into view, buildings that seemed to grow from the planet itself, twisting upward like giant organic sculptures. Minna stood at the viewport, her body already feeling the strain of the planet's heavier gravity. She had prepared for this, but theory and experience were very different things. Your environment suit is inadequate, Vren informed her, approaching with what appeared to be a small device. This personal field generator will help maintain pressure and atmosphere around you. Without it, your lungs would struggle and your blood might even boil in certain regions. Thank you, Minna said, genuinely surprised by the consideration. It is not kindness, Vren clarified. Science Officer Takel requested you arrive in functioning condition for his studies. That didn't sound promising. Studies. The ruling council is divided on the human question. Some see potential allies. Others see potential subjects. Your performance during the radiation crisis has complicated matters. The ship docked with a massive structure that Vren identified as the council spire. As Mina prepared to disembark, Commander Krath entered her quarters. Ambassador Park, I will escort you to the council. Be warned, many Talok have never seen a human before. Your appearance may cause reactions. The moment Mina stepped into the Talok atmosphere, even with the field generator, she felt the pressure bearing down on her. Each step required conscious effort, and breathing felt like drawing air through a narrow straw. The council chamber was an enormous amphitheater with seating for hundreds of Talok officials. As Mina entered alongside Krath, a wave of clicking sounds, their version of murmuring, spread through the assembly. It is so small, one voice carried clearly. How does it support its internal organs without proper armor? Asked another. The High Counselor, distinguishable by elaborate markings on his exoskeleton, raised his upper limbs for silence. Ambassador Mina Park of Earth, his translated voice boomed. We have heard of your assistance during the Pulsar incident. It is unexpected from a species of your physical limitations. Mina stepped forward, fighting against the gravity with each movement. High Counselor, physical form is only one measure of capability. Humanity has thrived not through natural armor or strength, but through adaptation and innovation. Pretty words, came a voice from the side chamber. A Talok emerged, his exoskeleton decorated with scientific insignia. I am Chief Researcher Tekal. I propose that before any alliance discussions, we should properly understand human physiology through comprehensive examination. Mina recognized the threat behind the scientific language. The Earth diplomatic package included complete biological and medical information. Data can be falsified, Takel replied. Direct observation is the only reliable method. The High Counselor seemed to consider this. Perhaps a demonstration of human capabilities would be informative. The proving grounds are prepared for tomorrow's Emergence Festival. The ambassador could participate. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Krath stepped forward. High Counselor, the proving grounds are designed for Talok physiology. The human would not survive. Then that would answer our questions about their species worth, wouldn't it? Takel said smoothly. The High Counselor's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. It is decided. Ambassador Park will demonstrate human capabilities at tomorrow's festival. Until then, she will be given appropriate quarters. As Mina was escorted from the chamber, Vren fell into step beside her. The proving grounds are combat trials, the science officer whispered, designed to test the strength of our warriors' exoskeletons before molting. No soft-bodied creature has ever survived them. Mina kept her expression neutral. Then I'll be the first. Morning came with the strange amber light of Talok Prime filtering through the high windows of Mina's assigned quarters. She had spent the night reviewing what little information Vren had been able to provide about the proving grounds, and the outlook wasn't promising. The trials involved tests of strength, endurance, and combat prowess, all areas where the Talok's natural advantages would make human success nearly impossible. But Mina had no intention of competing on their terms. A sharp knock announced Doyun's arrival. He had been permitted to join her from the Earth Embassy vessel after considerable diplomatic pressure. This is insanity, he said without preamble. I've contacted Earth Command. They're demanding your immediate release. And how's that going? Mina asked, already knowing the answer. The Talok are claiming it's an honor, not a punishment. Doyum handed her a small case. I brought what you asked for. Inside were specialized compression garments designed for high-gravity environments, along with a neural stimulator to help her muscles respond more efficiently. It won't be enough, Doyum warned. These were designed for research stations, not combat. I don't plan to beat them at their own game, Mina replied, fitting the neural stimulator to her temples. I just need to survive long enough to make my point. The proving grounds were a vast circular arena at the base of the council spire. Thousands of Talok had gathered to witness the event, their collective breathing creating a background hum that filled the air. Mina entered from one side, while across the arena stood 3 Talok warriors, their exoskeletons polished to a gleaming finish. Even at a distance, she could see they were larger than the average Talok. A high counselor's voice echoed across the arena. The trials will test strength, endurance, and combat skill. The human ambassador has agreed to demonstrate her species' capabilities. Mina noticed he conveniently failed to mention that refusal had not been an option. The first trial is the Pillar of Strength, the announcement continued. A section of the arena floor opened, and a massive stone column rose into position. Beside it stood various sized hammers. The first Talok warrior stepped forward, selected the largest hammer, which was nearly as tall as Mina herself, and with a powerful swing, cracked the pillar across its middle. The crowd clicked in approval. When Mina's turn came, she approached the replacement pillar and studied it carefully. The Talok watched, mandibles twitching in anticipated amusement. Instead of reaching for even the smallest hammer, Mina removed a device from her belt, a focused sonic emitter she had repurposed from her diplomatic kit. She calculated the pillar's resonant frequency, adjusted the emitter, and placed it against the stone. For several seconds, nothing seemed to happen. The crowd began to click in mockery. Then, a high-pitched whine filled the air, and cracks appeared throughout the pillar. Moments later, it collapsed into rubble more thoroughly than the Talok's brute force had achieved. Silence fell across the arena. The second trial is the endurance path, came the announcement. A winding track appeared, covered in obstacles, with sections that glowed ominously with heat or crackled with electrical discharges. The Talok warrior completed the course in impressive time, his exoskeleton protecting him from the environmental hazards. When Mina's turn came, she approached the starting line. The gravity was already taking its toll, making each step laborious. The neural stimulator helped, but she knew she couldn't maintain enhanced strength for the entire course. She started at a measured pace, navigating the first obstacles with careful precision rather than speed. When she reached the superheated section, instead of rushing through as the Talok had done, she removed a thermal reflector from her pocket, another repurposed diplomatic tool, and used it to redirect the heat away from her path. At the electrical discharge section, she employed a simple grounding wire to create a safe passage. To the Talok, it might have seemed like cheating, but to Mina, it was simply the human way, using intelligence to overcome physical limitations. When she reached the finish, her time was much slower than the Talok warriors, but she had completed the course with minimal injury, something the crowd had clearly not expected. The final trial is combat, the High Counselor announced, and Mina's heart sank. There was no technological solution for direct combat with a being 3 times her strength. The Talok warrior entered a marked circle, carrying what appeared to be a ceremonial staff. Mina was provided with a similar weapon, though it was almost too heavy for her to lift in the enhanced gravity. To first blood or surrender, the announcement explained. The warrior wasted no time, charging forward with surprising speed for his size. Mina barely managed to dodge, the staff whistling past her head. For several minutes, she could only evade, using her smaller size as an advantage in mobility. But the gravity was taking its toll, and her reactions were slowing. A blow caught her shoulder, sending her sprawling to the ground. The Talok warrior approached for the final strike, but Mina rolled aside and scrambled to her feet. "Enough," she called out, her voice firm despite her labored breathing. "This trial proves nothing except what we already know. Talok are physically stronger than humans, but strength alone isn't what allowed my species to reach the stars." She dropped her staff. "I surrender this match, but not my purpose here. If you want to truly understand humanity's potential as allies, test our minds, not our bodies." The arena fell silent. The warrior looked to the High Counselor's box for direction. After what seemed an eternity, the High Counselor stood. The trials are concluded. The council will deliberate on what we have witnessed. As Mina was escorted from the arena, Commander Kraft fell in beside her. That was not what I expected, he admitted. You found alternative approaches to each challenge. That's what humans do, Mina replied, wincing as her injured shoulder throbbed. We adapt. We find different paths when the obvious one is blocked. The council is divided, Kraft said quietly. Takel and his faction see your performance as confirmation of human weakness. Others see the innovation as valuable. But there is a greater problem approaching that may make this debate irrelevant. What problem? Mina asked. Our planet's core has become unstable. Geological sensors show a catastrophic event is imminent. Takel believes this is why we should focus on studying advanced species like yours, to find a solution. And what do you believe, Commander? Kraft's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. I believe that if your small hammer can break the same stone as our large one, perhaps your people might see solutions where we see only problems. The council chamber was in an uproar. Holographic displays showed the planet's interior, with angry red spots indicating dangerous instability. Mina and Doyun stood to one side, largely ignored in the chaos of the emergency session. The magma pressure has increased by 30% in the Eastern Hemisphere, one Talok scientist reported. The containment fields are at maximum capacity. The High Counselor turned to Chief Researcher Takel. You assured us the planetary stabilization system would hold for at least another cycle. The calculations were correct, Takel insisted. Something has accelerated the core degradation. Mina studied the holographic displays, her diplomatic training including enough geophysics to understand the basics of what she was seeing. Talok Prime's core had become unstable centuries ago, and the Talok had developed an impressive system of energy fields to contain and manage the instability. May I ask a question? She called out. The chamber gradually quieted as the Talok turned to look at her. Your stabilization system. It relies on the natural magnetic properties of your planet's crust, doesn't it? Takel's mandibles clicked in irritation. Of course. The resonant ferromagnetic deposits form the anchor points for the containment fields. And have you been mining those deposits? An uncomfortable silence fell across the chamber. The resources are necessary for our expansion, the High Counselor said finally. The mining operations are carefully controlled. But you've been weakening the very system that keeps your planet stable, Mina concluded. Each extraction reduces the effectiveness of your containment fields. What would you know of it, human? Takel demanded. Your species barely understands your own planet's core functions. Actually, we've had to become quite expert in understanding planetary systems we've destabilized, Doyum interjected. Unfortunately, human history includes many examples of environmental short-sightedness. Commander Kraft stepped forward. The human may have insight worth considering. Their approach to the shield crisis and the proving grounds demonstrated unconventional thinking. We need action, not alien theories, another council member argued. The evacuation protocols would save only a fraction of our population, the High Counselor finished grimly. Our colony worlds are not developed enough to support a mass evacuation. Mina looked at Doyun, a silent communication passing between them. He nodded subtly. Counselors, Mina said, her voice cutting through the debate. Earth may be able to offer assistance. We have developed technologies to stabilize tectonic activity, originally designed for our Mars terraforming projects. Takel scoffed. Your technology is primitive compared to ours. Different, not primitive, Mina corrected. And sometimes, a new approach is exactly what's needed when conventional methods fail. The High Counselor's 4 eyes fixed on her. What exactly are you proposing, Ambassador? A network of resonance amplifiers to reinforce your existing containment fields. They're less powerful than your technology, but they operate on different principles that might complement your systems rather than replace them. The theory is sound. Vren spoke up, surprising Mina with the support. I reviewed the human scientific database after the Pulsar incident. Their approach to planetary engineering is unusual, but potentially compatible with our methods. The chamber erupted in argument again, but the High Counselor raised his upper limbs for silence. We have little choice but to consider all options. Ambassador Park, how quickly could these resonance amplifiers be deployed? We have prototype models aboard our embassy vessel, Do-yoon answered. With your help to adapt them to Talok Prime's specific conditions, we could begin deployment within 48 hours. That may not be soon enough, one scientist warned. The eastern containment field is already showing signs of imminent failure. The High Counselor's exoskeleton seemed to darken with stress. Begin evacuation of the eastern settlements. Ambassador Park, you have the Council's authorization to implement your solution. Commander Kraft will provide whatever resources you require. As the Council members dispersed to their emergency duties, Takel approached Mina. If your plan fails, human, it will be remembered as the final error that doomed Talok Prime. And if it succeeds, Mina replied calmly, perhaps it will be remembered as the moment our species truly began to understand each other. The Talok engineering facility was a hive of frantic activity. Mina and Do-yoon worked alongside Vren and a team of Talok scientists, adapting the human resonance amplifiers to interface with the Talok containment field technology. The frequency modulation is still misaligned, Vren reported, mandibles clicking in frustration. The amplifiers are operating at 86% efficiency, not enough to stabilize the eastern fields. Mina wiped sweat from her forehead. The combination of stress and Talok Prime's oppressive gravity taking its toll. We need to synchronize the harmonic patterns. Our technology is designed to work with the natural resonance of planetary materials, not artificial containment fields. A violent tremor shook the facility, sending equipment crashing to the floor. The lights flickered ominously. Eastern containment field failure at 23%, announced an automated system. Evacuation status, 42% complete. Do-yoon pulled Mina aside. The embassy vessel reports they've configured the remaining amplifiers, but they can't reach the southern deployment zone. The seismic activity has made the region inaccessible by air. We'll have to deploy them manually, Mina decided. How many amplifiers are left? 3. But Mina, the southern zone is experiencing gravity fluctuations due to the core instability. It's already at 2.2 times Earth normal in some areas. You barely survived the proving grounds at 1.6. Another tremor, stronger than the last, interrupted them. Commander Kraft entered the facility, his exoskeleton dusty from debris. The situation is deteriorating more rapidly than projected, he reported. Takel believes we have less than 10 hours before catastrophic failure. Mina made a quick decision. Commander, I need a transport vehicle and a team to help deploy the remaining amplifiers in the southern zone. Kraft's 4 eyes blinked in rapid sequence. That region is becoming too unstable even for Talok physiology. The gravitational fluctuations will be much worse for me than for your people, I know. But if those amplifiers aren't deployed correctly, synchronized with the rest of the network, the whole system will fail. I'll go, Vren volunteered unexpectedly. My scientific background will be useful for the calibration, and I'll need Do-yoon's expertise as well, Mina added. Kraft seemed to hesitate, then nodded. I will accompany you personally. The Council has authorized emergency powers. All resources are at your disposal. Within an hour, they were speeding toward the southern containment field in a Talok ground transport, a massive vehicle that moved with surprising grace despite its size. Through the viewport, Mina could see the amber sky had darkened to an ominous bronze, with electrical storms visible on the horizon. Approaching the southern anchor point, Vren announced from the pilot's position, gravity readings are concerning, currently at 2.3 times Earth normal and fluctuating. Mina activated her neural stimulator to maximum setting, knowing it would help for only a short time before the battery depleted. The pressure against her body was already making it difficult to breathe. The transport came to a halt beside a towering structure, one of the main anchor points for the planetary containment field. Energy discharges crackled around its upper sections. The anchor point connection is failing, Vren observed. We must establish the amplifiers in a triangular formation around the main structure. As they exited the transport, Minna felt the crushing weight of the enhanced gravity immediately. Each step required enormous effort, and she could feel her heart straining to pump blood against the increased pressure. The amplifiers must be precisely positioned, Dohyun reminded them, struggling under the weight of the equipment. Exact spacing of 120 meters between each unit. Commander Kraft took one of the amplifiers from Dohyun, the weight seemingly manageable even in the extreme conditions. We will deploy them together. The human ambassador should remain. I'm coming, Minna insisted, taking the control unit. The calibration is delicate work. They separated into 3 teams, Kraft and several Talok engineers with 1 amplifier, Vren and another team with the second, and Minna and Dohyun with the third. Each group headed to their designated position, fighting against increasingly violent tremors. Minna and Dohyun struggled to their location, the amplifier feeling impossibly heavy even between them. As they began setup, a particularly strong gravity fluctuation hit, momentarily pushing the gravitational force to nearly 3 times Earth normal. Minna collapsed to her knees, feeling as though her bones might shatter under the pressure. Dohyun fell beside her, gasping for breath. Can't maintain this, he managed to say. The stimulators aren't strong enough. Gritting her teeth, Minna forced herself back to her feet. We don't have to maintain it long term, just long enough to save their world. With agonizing slowness, they positioned the amplifier and began calibration. Minna's vision was blurring at the edges, a dangerous sign of potential blackout from the blood pressure changes. Ambassador. Vren's voice came through the communication device. Our amplifier is in position, but we're reading a harmonic disruption from your sector. Working on it, Minna replied, her fingers feeling thick and clumsy as she adjusted the controls. The gravity fluctuations are affecting the baseline calibration. Another tremor, more violent than any before, shook the ground. In the distance, Minna saw a massive fissure open in the planet's surface, glowing with the ominous light of molten material from below. Eastern containment field failure at 68%. Came the automated update. Southern field integrity at 47% and declining. Minna made a final adjustment to the amplifier. Activating now. 3 beams of energy shot upward from the amplifiers, converging at the anchor point structure. For a terrifying moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, gradually, the energy discharges around the structure stabilized, forming a coherent pattern. Field integrity improving, Vren reported. 52%, 58%, 63%. It's working, Dohyun exclaimed. But their celebration was premature. Another massive tremor shook the area, and Minna watched in horror as a section of ground between them and the transport vehicle collapsed, revealing a churning river of magma beneath. We're cut off, she realized. We need to find another way back. Commander Kraft's voice came through the communicator. My team is safely across. The field stabilization is holding, but we must evacuate this region immediately. Minna scanned their surroundings, the oppressive gravity making it hard to think clearly. There, she pointed to a ridge that seemed to offer a path around the magma flow. If we can reach that rise, we might be able to circle back to the transport. They began moving, each step requiring enormous effort. Dohyun stumbled, and Minna caught him, her muscles screaming in protest against the strain. Leave me, he gasped. You can move faster alone. Not happening, Minna replied firmly. We started this together. We finish it together. A shadow fell over them, and they looked up to see a Talok transport hovering precariously in the unstable air currents. Ambassador. It was Takel's voice, surprisingly. The Council sent me to extract you. The resonance network is stabilizing the containment fields, but this region will be sacrificed to save the rest. A rescue cable descended from the transport. Mina secured it around Doyun first, watching as he was lifted to safety. When the cable returned, she fastened it around herself and felt the jerking pull as she was lifted from the ground. Through the viewport of the transport, she watched as the amplifiers continued their work, the energy beams now forming a stable network across the visible landscape. The fissures were still there, but no longer spreading. "Your solution appears to be working," Takel said, his tone a mixture of reluctance and respect. "The containment field integrity is now at 78% and rising." "It won't last forever," Mina cautioned, slumping in exhaustion as the transport accelerated away from the danger zone. "It's a temporary stabilization. Your people will need to develop a more permanent solution." "Perhaps," Takel admitted, "with human assistance, we might." As the transport returned to the main city, Mina could see relief efforts already underway. The crisis wasn't over, but the immediate danger had passed. And something else had changed too. The way the Talak looked at her as she disembarked. No longer with contempt for her fragile form, but with a new kind of respect. Another shake, stronger than the last, interrupted them. Commander Kraft entered the facility, his shell dusty from falling debris. "The situation is getting worse faster than expected," he reported. "Takel believes we have less than 10 hours before complete failure." Mina made a quick decision. "Commander, I need a transport vehicle and a team to help set up the remaining amplifiers in the southern zone." Kraft's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. "That region is becoming too unstable even for Talak bodies. The gravity changes will be much worse for me than for your people, I know. But if those amplifiers aren't placed correctly, connected with the rest of the network, the whole system will fail." "I'll go," Jun volunteered unexpectedly. "My science background will be useful for the calibration. And I'll need Juo's expertise as well," Mina added. Kraft seemed to hesitate, then nodded. "I will go with you personally. The Council has given emergency powers. All resources are yours to use." Within an hour, they were moving fast toward the southern containment field in a Talak ground transport, a massive vehicle that moved with surprising grace despite its size. Through the window, Mina could see the orange sky had darkened to a scary bronze, with electrical storms visible far away. Approaching the southern anchor point, Jun announced from the driver's position, "Gravity readings are worrying. Currently at 2.3 times Earth normal and changing." Mina turned her neural stimulator to maximum power, knowing it would help for only a short time before the battery ran out. The pressure against her body was already making it hard to breathe. The transport stopped beside a tall structure, one of the main anchor points for the planetary containment field. Energy discharges sparked around its upper sections. "The anchor point connection is failing," Jun observed. "We must set up the amplifiers in a triangle around the main structure." As they left the transport, Mina felt the crushing weight of the enhanced gravity right away. Each step took enormous effort, and she could feel her heart working hard to pump blood against the increased pressure. "The amplifiers must be placed exactly," Joe reminded them, struggling under the weight of the equipment. "Exact spacing of 120 meters between each unit." Commander Kraft took one of the amplifiers from Jiho, the weight seeming manageable even in the extreme conditions. "We will deploy them together. The human ambassador should stay." "I'm coming," Mina insisted, taking the control unit. "The calibration is delicate work." They separated into 3 teams, Kraft and several Talak engineers with 1 amplifier, Jun and another team with the 2nd, and Mina and Jiho with the 3rd. Each group headed to their place, fighting against increasingly violent shakes. Mina and Jiho struggled to their location, the amplifier feeling impossibly heavy even between them. As they began setup, a particularly strong gravity fluctuation hit, momentarily pushing the gravitational force to nearly 3 times Earth normal. Mina collapsed to her knees, feeling as though her bones might break under the pressure. Jiho fell beside her, gasping for breath. "Can't maintain this," he managed to say. "The stimulators aren't strong enough." Gritting her teeth, Mina forced herself back to her feet. We don't have to maintain it long term, just long enough to save their world. With painful slowness, they positioned the amplifier and began calibration. Minna's vision was blurring at the edges, a dangerous sign of potential blackout from the blood pressure changes. Ambassador, Jun's voice came through the communication device. Our amplifier is in position, but we're reading a harmonic disruption from your sector. Working on it, Minna replied, her fingers feeling thick and clumsy as she adjusted the controls. The gravity fluctuations are affecting the baseline calibration. Another shake, more violent than any before, shook the ground. In the distance, Minna saw a massive crack open in the planet's surface, glowing with the scary light of molten material from below. Eastern containment field failure at 68%, came the automated update. Southern field integrity at 47% and declining. Minna made a final adjustment to the amplifier. Activating now.